All right, strap in, everyone, because today we are diving deep, deep into the world of David Goggins.
Oh, yeah, this one?
This is a guy who embodies pushing limits, like mental and physical limits. And
Definitely.
his story is, honestly, it's wild.
Yeah.
We're talking like former Navy SEAL, ultra-marathon runner,
Mm-hmm.
and just this like embodiment of mental toughness.
That's
Right?
absolutely.
So to guide us through this deep dive, we have his autobiography, Can't Hurt Me.
Great book.
It's a real roller coaster.
Yeah, what's so fascinating about Goggins, I think, is that he doesn't sugarcoat anything.
Right.
Like, he really lays bare his past, and it's incredibly difficult, and he talks about how he used that to become who he is today.
Yeah, he doesn't shy away from anything, like the really tough stuff. Like
Right.
his childhood was marked by poverty,
Mhm.
horrific abuse from his father, like you name it.
It's really hard to imagine.
It's the kind of stuff that, honestly, I think would break most people. But Goggins turned it into this, like, crucible that forged this unbreakable spirit, you know?
Yeah, it's like, how does someone take that much negativity and turn it into a driving force, you know?
Right.
It's really interesting to see.
Yeah, and he could have easily let his past define him.
Oh, for sure.
But instead, he kind of used it as this motivation to prove his resilience,
Right.
you know?
Exactly.
Like, there's this one anecdote from the book that really stuck with me.
Okay.
Goggins' family ran a roller skating rink,
Oh, wow.
which sounds, you know, on the surface kind of idyllic, right?
Yeah, fun.
Like family business, roller skating.
Sounds like a good time.
But for him, it was a total nightmare.
Oh, no.
His father would force him to work all night, denying him sleep.
Wow.
Basic needs, like it was more like a prison than a fun family business.
Yeah, that's really tough to hear.
It's hard to even fathom that level of abuse, both physical and emotional, that he endured.
Right.
But even in those, like, darkest moments, he found these little glimmers of hope that kept him going.
Yeah, like when his mother finally escaped with him and his brother, they found refuge at his grandmother's house.
Yeah, and it wasn't perfect.
No.
But for Goggins, it was like a breath of fresh air, you
Yeah,
know?
like a fresh start.
A chance to experience something resembling a normal life.
Yeah, that's a real turning point in the book, I think, because
Right.
you see his mother's courage and determination to protect her kids,
Right.
despite facing, terrifying odds. And it's like it plants the seeds of resilience in him
Yeah,
that would blossom later when he faced his own challenges.
totally. And those challenges, I mean, they really ramped up when Goggins decided to become a Navy SEAL,
Oh, yeah.
which, I mean, SEAL training is notoriously brutal as it is.
Mm-hmm.
But Goggins had this unique hurdle.
Okay.
He had to lose over 100 pounds in less than 3 months just to qualify.
Oh, my God.
I mean, come on, that's practically impossible.
This sounds impossible.
But Goggins, being Goggins, faced this impossible task head on, and he developed these incredible mental strategies to push through.
Like what?
So he had this thing he called the accountability mirror,
Okay.
where he would literally stand in front of the mirror and call himself out on his flaws, his weaknesses.
Oh, wow.
It was brutal honesty, but it kept him focused.
It's like he became his own drill sergeant.
Right.
Yeah.
No sugarcoating, just pure, unfiltered self-accountability.
That's intense.
And to fuel his drive during those grueling physical challenges, you know what? He found inspiration in the most unexpected place.
Where?
The story of Rocky Balboa in Rocky the
Oh,
Fear.
really?
I know, right?
It's interesting.
He saw Rocky's, like, relentless spirit,
Yeah.
his ability to take a beating and come back swinging
Uh-huh.
as a reflection of his own potential.
That's really cool.
So even with his, like, unwavering determination, SEAL training really pushed Goggins to the puck, physically and mentally. He endured the infamous Hell Week, which is designed to weed out anyone who's not truly committed.
Yeah, it's brutal.
And it was during Hell Week that he had this pivotal realization, one that would shape his whole philosophy.
Okay.
The 40% rule.
The 40% rule.
Yeah, this concept is at the core of everything Goggins talks about.
So what is that?
It essentially states that most people, we only tap into about 40% of our true capability.
Really?
We limit ourselves with these self-imposed mental governors, believing we can only achieve so much.
Right.
But Goggins is like living proof that we have so much more to give if we're willing to push past those limits.
Okay, so how did he actually prove this theory?
He didn't just talk the talk, he walked the walk.
Okay.
During Hell Week, he powered through double pneumonia. He ran on fractured legs.
What?
Yeah, he even treaded water with an injured leg.
Oh my gosh.
He was in agonizing pain, but he refused to quit at 40%.
That's incredible.
It makes you think, how often do we give up on something before we've even truly given it our all?
That's a really good question.
And that's the question Goggins wants us to ask ourselves.
Yeah.
What could we achieve if we pushed past that perceived 40%? If we dared to tap into that, like, untapped reservoir of potential within us?
Yeah.
He's challenging us to rethink our limitations and embrace the possibility of achieving more than we ever thought possible.
So it sounds like his story doesn't end with SEAL training.
Oh, not even close.
Hmm.
Goggins went on to test his mental and physical limits even further
How so?
in the world of ultramarathons.
Ultramarathons.
Yeah, running these insane distances that would make even, like, the most seasoned runners just shake their heads.
It's like he was looking for new ways to prove his theory, to demonstrate that the 40% rule wasn't just some abstract concept,
Exactly.
but a tangible reality.
Right. He was determined to push his body and mind beyond what he thought was possible.
Wow.
And ultramarathons provided that platform.
So how did he get into that?
Well, he didn't ease into it.
Oh, I bet he didn't.
He completed his first 100-mile race, the San Diego One Day, with only 3 days' notice.
3 days notice.
And no prior training.
No training for a 100-mile race.
No training for a 100-mile race.
How is that even possible?
I know, right? It's mind-boggling.
It really is.
But it speaks to the power of the mind,
Uh-huh.
the sheer force of will that Goggins possesses.
Yeah.
He just refused to let his body dictate his limits.
Okay, so we've talked about these incredible feats of strength and endurance.
Right.
But even Goggins, the guy who calls himself the hardest man God ever created, has moments of doubt, right?
Oh, absolutely. And that's where his cookie jar comes in.
A cookie jar.
Yeah, it's this mental strategy for battling those negative thoughts, that self-doubt.
So what is the cookie jar?
It's basically where you create this mental repository of your past victories.
Rah.
Those moments when you overcame adversity.
Okay.
And you use those memories as fuel to push through current challenges.
I love that.
Right.
It's like a personal highlight reel of your, like, badass moments.
Exactly.
Wow.
And so when you're feeling defeated,
Yeah.
you reach into your mental cookie jar,
Okay.
pull out a memory of a time you crushed it, and bam, instant motivation.
It's so powerful.
Goggins believes that everyone has a cookie jar.
Yeah.
Everyone has these moments of triumph, big or small,
Yeah.
that we can draw on when things get tough.
So we've established that Goggins is clearly an exceptional individual.
Right.
But, like, how does all of this relate to us?
Exactly.
You know, most of us aren't training to be Navy SEALs.
Right.
Or running ultramarathons.
I'm not all running 100 miles on 3 days' notice.
Right, exactly. So how can we actually apply these, like, seemingly superhuman principles to our everyday lives?
That's the million-dollar question, and that's what we're going to unpack in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, I'm ready.
We're going to explore how Goggins' principles of mental toughness, embracing discomfort, and tapping into our untapped potential can apply to all of our lives, no matter what challenges we face.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of David Goggins.
All right, so we left off talking about how to actually apply Goggins' extraordinary feats to, our own lives.
Yeah. How do we translate that kind of intensity into something doable for the average person?
Because it's inspiring to hear about, like, running 100 miles on 3 days' notice.
Right.
But how do we take that and make it something that, we can actually do?
Well, Goggins actually talks a lot about this. He emphasizes starting small.
Okay.
Don't try to go from, like, couch potato to ultra marathoners overnight.
Right.
Instead, pick one area where you feel stuck.
Okay.
Like maybe you hit snooze every morning, or you always take the elevator instead of the stairs.
Yeah.
That's your starting point.
So it's less about these massive, overwhelming changes.
Right.
And more about tiny, like, sneaky ways to get uncomfortable.
Exactly.
Right.
Like if you usually hit snooze, set your alarm 10 minutes earlier and do a few push-ups.
Oh.
Take the stairs a couple times a day.
Okay.
It's not about the magnitude of the action.
Right.
It's about that conscious choice to push past your normal habits.
I see. So it's like building that mental muscle.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's about, like, those small wins.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm also thinking about how Goggins is all about these huge goals like SEAL training,
Right.
ultra marathons.
Mm-hmm.
Does his philosophy work for, like, normal life goals?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The principle is the same.
Okay.
Like, let's say your goal is to write a book,
Mm-hmm.
which can feel really daunting.
Yeah.
But Goggins would say, break it down.
Okay.
What's one page you can write today?
Right.
It's about shifting from overwhelmed to empowered
Okay.
by taking action.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's like tricking your brain into thinking, hey, this isn't so scary after all.
Exactly.
But even with those small steps, there will be moments of wanting to quit.
For sure.
That's where those mental strategies come in, right? Like the cookie jar.
Yes, the cookie jar. But Goggins also has a whole arsenal of techniques for combating negativity.
Okay.
Another one he talks about a lot is self-talk.
Self-talk.
Becoming aware of that negative voice in your head
Right.
and actively reframing it.
So it's not just about pushing through physically.
Yeah.
It's really about that mental game, too.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Goggins even suggests writing down your fears and insecurities.
Oh, wow.
And then literally tearing up the paper.
Okay.
It's a symbolic way of releasing those limitations.
Wow.
Of saying, I'm not controlled by these thoughts.
That's powerful.
Right?
Even if it seems a little, ooh, at first.
A little out there, but it's about actively shaping your mindset.
Right.
And this ties into another technique Goggins uses, visualization.
Visualization.
Yeah, he spends a lot of time mentally preparing for challenges.
Okay.
Picturing himself overcoming obstacles.
So it's like athletes who visualize their race beforehand.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's mental rehearsal.
Okay.
And by visualizing success, you're building confidence and reducing anxiety.
Okay.
You're training your mind to believe in your ability to achieve the goal.
This is all incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
But I also have to wonder, is there a point where pushing too hard becomes detrimental?
That's a great question.
Goggins has had injuries, setbacks.
Right.
Is his approach sustainable for everyone?
That's a really important point, and it's actually something Goggins acknowledges himself.
Okay.
He stresses the importance of finding a balance.
Okay, so it's not just like go, go, go all the time.
Right.
You have to listen to your body.
Absolutely. Pushing your limits, yes.
Yeah.
But also listening to your body, knowing when to rest,
Right.
and adapting his principles to your own circumstances.
So it's not about blind imitation.
Right.
It's about taking inspiration from his mindset,
Yes.
but being smart about it.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's about finding your own version of the 40% rule.
Right.
Not pushing to the point of breaking, but recognizing where you're selling yourself short.
I see. So it's about, finding that sweet spot.
Exactly.
This has been super insightful.
Good. I'm glad.
But I'm curious to hear more about Goggins's personal journey.
Yeah.
We've talked about the principles,
Mm-hmm.
but I think the way he embodies them is just as powerful.
Absolutely. So in the next part of our deep dive,
Okay.
we'll explore some of those defining moments in Goggins' life.
All right.
Moments where he truly put his philosophy to the test.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, and we'll uncover some of the lessons he learned along the way.
All right. Welcome back to our deep dive.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey.
So we've been unpacking David Goggins' world, talking about his tough childhood, the 40% rule, that whole cookie jar thing.
Right.
But to really see his philosophy in action, I think we need to talk about the Hurt 100.
Oh, yeah, the Hurt 100. That's a pretty infamous race.
Infamous is a good word for it.
100 miles in Hawaii.
In Hawaii, yeah.
Brutal terrain, crazy weather.
I mean, even for ultra runners, is considered one of the toughest out there.
Yeah, it's really intense.
And Goggins, being Goggins, he didn't just, run it.
Oh,
He went in with that full-on intensity we've been talking about.
of course.
But this race, it pushed him further than he'd ever been pushed,
Oh, I bet.
both physically and mentally. I mean, he was dealing with intense pain, hallucinations, even questioning his own sanity at points.
It's pretty wild to read about.
And that's what's so remarkable about this story.
What's that?
It would be easy to just glorify this, tough guy image.
Right.
But Goggins is so honest about the vulnerability, too.
Yeah, he doesn't shy away from those moments of weakness.
Not at all. There's this part in the book that really stuck with me.
Oh, yeah.
He's deep into the race. His body's breaking down. And he starts seeing his support crew as these, demons mocking him, telling him to quit.
Oh, wow.
And it's like his own mind was turning against him.
It makes you realize, when you push to those extreme limits, you really come face to face with the darkest parts of yourself.
Yeah, totally.
All your fears, insecurities, it all bubbles to the surface.
It's not just about physical strength anymore.
No.
And in that moment, when I think most people would have just given up,
Yeah.
Goggins starts talking to himself out loud, reminding himself of all the challenges he's overcome, those cookie jar moments.
Wow.
He literally willed himself to keep going, step by agonizing step.
That's incredible.
It's a testament to the power of self-belief. Right?
Absolutely.
He could have easily succumbed to that negativity, but he chose to focus on his resilience, his past victories,
Powerful stuff.
He refused to be controlled by those negative thoughts.
And did he finish?
He did. He finished the race.
Wow.
He didn't win,
Okay.
but he proved to himself that he could endure like almost unimaginable suffering.
Which, honestly, is probably more impressive than
Right.
getting first place.
Yeah, I mean, the Hurt 100 is like this microcosm of Goggins' whole philosophy.
How so?
It's about embracing discomfort,
Yeah.
pushing past what you think is possible, and never giving up, even when your mind and body are screaming at you to quit.
That's a powerful message.
But it brings us back to that question, how do we apply this to our lives?
Right.
We may not be facing ultramarathons,
Right.
but we all have our own mountains to climb.
Absolutely. It's about taking those core principles, the 40% rule, the cookie jar, that relentless self-belief, and adapting them to our own situations.
Exactly. Maybe your Hurt 100 is finishing that degree,
Yeah.
or asking for that promotion, or healing a difficult relationship.
It's about recognizing those internal limits we set for ourselves, those I can't thoughts.
Yeah, I'm not good enough.
And Goggins is saying, challenge those thoughts.
Push past them.
You might just surprise yourself.
Exactly.
This has been an incredible deep dive into Goggins' world.
It really has.
His story is definitely a call to action, urging us to step outside our comfort zones and see what we're truly capable of.
So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this question.
Okay.
What's your 40% rule?
Ooh, good one.
What challenge are you ready to tackle head on?
Because, as Goggins has shown us, when we push past those perceived limits, we unlock a level of strength and resilience we never knew we had.
Thanks for joining us on this journey.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.
Until next time, keep pushing those boundaries.
You might be amazed at what you find.
Absolutely.